Anteriormente, esse jogador fez o combo mais difícil do Yone, feito por menos de 1% dos jogadores. Ele quebrou também o recorde mundial de ativação das 4 marcas da Fiora, em apenas 0.1 segundos, e executou combos da Kiana que são até difíceis de memorizar. Hoje, a gente acompanha sua jornada rumo aos combos mais quebrados e esquisitos com 5 campeões do LoL. Olá, tudo bem? Aqui é o Ukla. No vídeo de hoje a gente vai ver algumas novas mecânicas e quebras de animações. No geral são combos que sinceramente não eram nem para funcionar. Ah, o vídeo original foi gravado em inglês, então aqui embaixo vai ficar passando a legenda.
This is one of the weirdest combos in League of Legends and honestly it shouldn't work. Not only is it really confusing, it's so difficult it took me 6 hours just to do it once. What? That's
Caraca,
it? But this is
6
only
horas
the
para
first
fazer o
out
combo
of
uma
5
vez.
game-breaking combos I found, and I can't stop playing until I do them all. Let's start with Nautilus. When you play him as a support, he's a very slow champion, but with the right items you can turn him into a high damage assassin that jumps in and out. His Q is a long range hook that allows you to cast other abilities during its cast time. If you have some AP, it's the best way to one-shot enemies. His R is an ability that chases an enemy and knocks everything on its way. What's interesting is that you can change its path by flashing just before it goes off. It's a great way to instantly engage. But there is this one mechanic that's completely insane. Normally you can't flash during Q's animation, but of course there is a way to break this rule. Predator is a rune that makes you faster when you use it, and before the speed buff applies, there is a little delay. For some reason, if you use Q during that short delay, you'll be able to flash right after. This may not seem that useful, and it's probably not, but it makes some really weird combos possible. Combos like this, and the one I'm gonna attempt in a real game, this. Not only is it really difficult,
isso,
but the chance that someone with low HP
o Nautilus tá
would just stand
passando
next to the wall
por dentro
was
da
close to
parede.
zero. But I started playing anyway. 5 games in, I didn't try it a single time. Just as I thought, it was so hard to find a place to use it. But in game 10, something unexpected happened. Just after a Baron fight, I found Morgana under her tower. I was sure I'm not gonna kill her, I just wanted to try the combo for fun. But it turned out I had a lot of damage and only it took half of her HP. Now my ult was slowly coming towards her.
Caraca, o E tira metade da vida dela.
But unfortunately just before dying, she was able to shield herself. Yet somehow, my ult dealt enough damage and I was finally able to complete the first combo.
O cara tem que ativar o Predador, dar o Q, Flash, R, e aí tá feito. Demorou 10 jogos, até que não é tanto, né?
This is Sylas's E. First use is a short dash, and after using it a second time, Sylas throws out his chains. If you ever build Zonia on Sylas, you can combine it with E to do this. Just spam Q in the state, and you'll get a lot of missing pings. His ult is an ability that steals an ultimate from an enemy, and you can use this stolen ability during E. With most ults, it works as you would expect, but there are a few that can create insane interactions. For example, with champions like Lee Sin or Azir, you could do some amazing combos. Oh no, that was so close. But what I found the most interesting is the interaction with Yone. His ult is an ability that knockbacks everything on its way. It's really powerful, but it's quite easy to dodge.
O ult do Yone tá indo junto com o Sylas, ó.
It moves along with Sylas, making it almost impossible to dodge. The hardest part about
ele
it
ganha
is that I
alcance
have to play
absurdo.
against Yone, but since he's popular, I was able to find the first one after 4 games. Zac is basically a blob and his animations are already weird, but I'm sure we can make it weirder. His E is a long range dash and he can't use other abilities during that dash. But of course I found a way to do it. His Q is a skill shot that connects Zac to the first enemy hit. If he attacks another target, he slams the enemies into each other. If you walk too far before the attack, the arm will break. And it turns out that if you break it during E-dash, Zac will be able to use other abilities during E. My goal was to hit someone with this ult.
Olha, ele tá
By
conseguindo
the way,
ultar
I
durante
don't
o
know
E,
what's going on with his
que
animation.
normalmente não funciona, não dá pra
I was
fazer.
hoping enemies would dodge it towards me and I would hit them with an unexpected ult. Yet that didn't work. In fact, after 10 games and 30 tries, it didn't happen a single time. But while trying, I was able to get a few kills with different weird mechanics. While you can't use abilities during E-dash, you can use items. For example, Rocket Bolt, an item that gives you a short dash will completely stop his E. In game 5 I was able to do it, and as you can imagine, people didn't expect it. You can also use Zonias during E. This basically creates an unstoppable golden bomb. And the last one is again using Rocket Bolt, but this time in his ult. We can combine it with Q to get a weird and unexpected CC chain. If you're playing AP Zac, there is no reason not to use it. While doing all of it, I was able to get only 2 decent tries of a main combo. Honestly, I had problems doing it even without enemies, but I kept trying and it slowly started making sense. And finally, 5 games later, something clicked, and I was somehow able to do it 3 times in a row.
Ele deu Q nos monstros ali, ó. Deu Q no Drake, quebrou o braço, deu R durante o E. Olha lá.
To break the game the 4th
Olha,
time, we'll use Vi. Vi is a pretty simple champion. Most of the time you press one button and the enemy is dead. But with a bit of imagination, you can turn her into a fast and flashy assassin. When you use Vi's ult, she dashes towards an enemy champion and knocks them up. She also knockbacks and damages any enemy on her path.
Beleza.
What makes the combo possible is that you can flash during that dash. It's a very useful mechanic if you build some
É uma
AP.
mecânica
Now
útil mesmo
let's
isso aí,
add
cara.
Vi's Q. It's a simple dash that knockbacks enemies at the end of it. The knockback is calculated in a really weird way, and if you're able to make Vi face the other way, she'll take the target with
LOL,
her.
o cara
if
deu
you use
insect
Gale
basicamente.
Force, an item that allows you to dash in opposite direction, this happens. When I was trying the main combo, I was able to do this one as well.
Caraca, é difícil de fazer,
In
hein?
game 3, I got my first good one, and then over next 20 games, I did it a few more times.
Isso é tipo um puxão do Skarner.
This mechanic is used in a main combo because you can make Vi turn by using ult, and by adding a carefully placed flash you can move enemies long distances. In practice, it wasn't that difficult, but doing it in a real game was another story, and 5 games later I didn't have a single good try. The flash placement has to be really precise, and most of the time my enemies were just flying away. But I kept playing, and finally, after 25 games, I did it. And it happened 2 times in a row.
É muito excitacional esses combos, né, cara? Ele demorou 25 jogos pra conseguir fazer.
Gragas is one of those champions that looks very simple, but when you play
Caraca,
against
esse
a good
boneco é
Gragas,
difícil, viu?
it's a completely different game. Throwing enemies into a fully charged barrel is one of the most satisfying feelings, and I managed to do it a few times during my practice. To do it, start with Q. It's a barrel that deals more damage the longer it stays on the ground, and combine it with ult, a big barrel that knocks enemies away, and a simple dash with a knockback to get this combo. You can even flash for that extra style points. You can also use Q during A, or do it backwards for some missing pings. But to make it weirder, we'll use Vandal Gragas skin. Why? Well, one of his animation is special. When he uses W, he drinks his beer and his next auto attack deals more damage. But for some reason, on Vandal Gragas skin, W animation is a bit longer and it allows you to cast other abilities inside of it, making it a lot
LOL,
harder
mal
to
dá pra
see.
ver, cara, ó.
Poking with this mechanic feels so unfair.
Ele usa o Q e o R durante a animação do
But to
W.
truly break him, we'll need more. It turns out that if you attack something that can't proc W and then quickly switch your target to a different one, Gragas gets really confused. And if you skew right after, he just kinda stays in that position. My goal was to get a kill using this mechanic, and this is the combo I came up with.
Mó trabalho
As a
pra fazer
Gragas
isso aí.
enjoyer, I thought it'll take me a few games, but actually finding a place to use it seemed almost impossible. Most of the time, I was almost dead before trying the combo. I tried some different approaches with plants and wards, but it wasn't enough. I just had to play more games. In game 7, I got the first actual attempt, but I got so excited I missed everything. And then 5 games later I did it. Or at least I thought so. Technically,
ele
it happened,
deu
but I
W,
really
cancelou,
wanted to get a clean
deu
knockback
Q,
into a
deu
barrel,
E, deu Q, deu
so I
R.
kept trying. I was very close, so I was confident I could do it soon, but unfortunately for me, it didn't go as planned. My combos were getting worse and worse, and after 10 more games, I couldn't even start the combo.
Ih,
Was I
caramba.
really that bad? It didn't help that the practice tool was disabled and I couldn't really train. After another few games, I was completely clueless what I was doing wrong. Wait, did Riot disable it? Oh no, let's
Caraca,
see.
Riot Games removeu a
In
mecânica
patch 13.16,
no meio das tentativas do
Riot
cara.
actually removed this mechanic. Well, I guess this is the best I will ever do. But I didn't want to end there. So after a bit of research, I found a worthy replacement. Probably the weirdest Gragas combo you will ever see. It uses Everfrost, an item that stuns
Beleza.
every enemy hit to set up for a nice knockback into a barrel. I don't know if it was me or my enemies who were more confused. After 5 games, I had a few promising attempts, but something always had to go wrong. Either enemy dodged the Everfrost, or I was just too far to finish the combo. Sometimes I had a bit too
quase,
much
cara.
damage, and sometimes I completely forgot what I was doing. I knew I'm really close. All I needed is a bit of luck, but I really wasn't prepared for how long it's gonna take.
Vixe Maria. O cara é muito determinado, viu, velho? 20 jogos basicamente uma semana jogando pra boa parte das pessoas.
But after all of that, 35 games and 80 attempts, I finally did it. A perfectly weird Gragas combo. Oh my god.
O Aphilis ainda usou purificar, velho. Meio atrasadão, ó. O Aphilis falou, vou de purificar porque o Gragas vai fazer Glace Eterno. Gostou desse vídeo? Deixa o seu like e se inscreva. E também não deixe de conferir o vídeo original. O link tá na descrição. Tchau!